Hello, folks. This is Vikas from Aquis. Welcome back to our podcast series. Today, we have a special guest with us, Praveen, who's a CEO of AIC, Atal Incubation Center at Coffee Board. Welcome, Praveen.
Yeah, thank you, Vikas.
Praveen, for our audience, it'll be good to get to know a little bit about you. If you could help us, give a brief introduction about your background, what you've done so far, and what you're doing at Coffee Board as well will be great.
So, hello everyone. This is Praveen. I'm CEO of Atal Incubation Center, Coffee Board. So, I'm into this startup ecosystem since last 12 years. And the Coffee Board has established a dedicated incubation center to support and nurture startups in the coffee sector. So this incubation center was established in the year 2020 in association with Niti Aayog's Atal Innovation Mission and Central Coffee Research Institute of Coffee Board. So earlier I was part of Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare Government of India, and also worked with few private institutions in their incubation centers in India and abroad.
Great. So can you help us understand what drives the Atal Incubation Center? What are the primary objectives of AIC?
So there are about 70 plus Atal Incubation Centers established across India by Government of India under this Niti Aayog's Atal Innovation Mission. So each of these incubators are having its own objective. So the basic objective of any incubator is to nurture startups and identify the grassroots level innovators, provide them required handholding support in their initial struggling stage, and help them with the funding where they can purchase the machinery and invest in the manpower, and also help them in R&D activities. So anybody who has an idea needs to convert their idea into a prototype or an MVP and become successful. So that's the basic objective of any incubator.
And I understand these are spread across sectors. It's not purely focused on agriculture or etc. This is across all industries.
Yeah. So some of these incubators are sector agnostic, but whereas Atal Incubation Center of Coffee Board, we are very specific to coffee, agri-tech, and also spices.
And how many more such centers would be focused around agriculture, other aspects of agriculture, apart from the one at Coffee Board?
Out of 73 incubation centers, which comes under this Atal Innovation Mission. So I would say at least 30 to 40% of the incubators have agriculture as one of their focus areas.
Understand. That's great. So let's talk specifically about AIC, CCRI and what you do at Coffee Board. So what aspects of, and you spoke about, startups being focused around coffee and allied sectors is what you're actually supporting. So what aspect of, a startup's journey are you able to support and help them with specifically at your center?
So basically we see the startups in 3 different stages. So the first stage being ideation phase, where there is a startup registered, but still they're working on their initial ideas. They have multiple ideas. They have not freezed any particular idea to work with. So we handle such startups. So under the pre-incubation stage. And we also have startups who have products now, POC, now they are working on MVP level and they are looking for market access.
Okay.
And the third category is startups who already have products or services that they're offering in a particular region. Now they want to scale up. They want to accelerate their business activities. So we support all 3 stages. Those who are in ideation phase, those who are in POC to MVP, those who are beyond MVP.
Great. Yeah. So let's put some numbers. And how many startups have gone through your program so far?
As on today, we had 47 startups incubated with us. And out of this, 23 have already graduated. And we have another 20 plus startups in pipeline who want to join our incubation program.
Any success stories you want to share specifically of startups graduating from your program or have been through your program?
Yeah. So we had multiple startups who emerged from this incubation program. So I'd like to talk about only a few startups here who are very specific to technology related aspects. So we'll start with Farmitopia. So this is a Bangalore-based startup. Mr. Jaikumar is the founder of this startup. So what they do is they have a platform which acts as a decision supporting system This helps the farming community to take a better decision based on the data-driven information.
Nice.
And apart from this, we have TraceX Technologies, where again they are working on this blockchain-backed platform, which enables secure transactions between the buyers and sellers. And also they work on the supply chain side of this agriculture and other commodities. And we have your team, Aquis, not to forget. Since you are having that dedicated blockchain enabled platform where you try to identify that counterfeit products, and also to help these other brands to identify which is authentic and which is counterfeit. So apart from this, we have few more who are working on waste to wealth sector, again within the coffee domain. Yeah,
great. So and I'm sure when it comes to agriculture or coffee, there are very specific challenges which would be, which this industry or some of the companies operating in this industry would be facing. So do you want to point out some of the challenges which you have seen that these startups face and how AIC has helped them overcome those challenges?
The fundamental challenge any startup, whether it is agri or non-agri, the fundamental challenge they face is converting their products into better ones and bringing them into the market. So the market access is one big challenge any startup would face.
Right.
Second one is getting the funding at the right stage. So most of the startups are bootstrapped.
Okay.
So if they don't get the required funding at the required time, so their innovation fails, or they lag behind their competitors, or they may not be able to bring in those products or services at the standard that they want to offer it to the consumers. So these two are the bigger problems. So as an incubation center, we help startups in getting funding in two stages. If somebody is working on idea level, so we provide them access to pre-seed stage funding.
Okay.
So there are various government schemes under which they can avail these fundings. And as a Atal Incubation Center, we can also invest on startups.
Nice.
And we also provide a seed stage funding. Like we have Startup India Seed Fund Scheme for our own incubation center, wherein startups can get up to 20 lakh rupees as grant in aid.
Okay.
And if they have higher requirement, they can avail debt up to 50 lakh rupees. Again, this is given as per the commercial lending rates of the banks. And they also get 1 year moratorium period.
Okay.
The total tenure is 5 years repayment period.
Okay.
Apart from this, we also make our startups to get access to private funding through investors network.
Right. I'm sure. I mean, that's a very important aspect. If I need to run a company, I need to be able to sustain myself, and being able to have funds to do that is quite important. Yeah. So funds being one aspect, I'm sure you also touched upon market access, etc. So apart from private equity, how are you helping these startups, basically get access to, let's say, some of these startups would need access to government, other stakeholders. How are you bringing them in to ensure that these startups get the right visibility, etc.? So how are you managing that at AIC?
Atal Incubation Center has its own network of incubators, and it has its own network of investors. And under Government of India, under different ministry, there are a lot of events and exhibitions happening across India and outside India. So Ministry of Commerce and Industries, where this coffee board is part of, so they keep conducting a lot of activities in and around India and also outside India. So we encourage our startups to participate in these events. And many a times we negotiate with the government to get the free stall space for our startups. So and also other incubators, they keep doing many of these entrepreneurship related activities, buyer seller meets, and a lot of networking events are conducted. And from our own incubation center, we do a physical networking meeting every month. Either it will happen in the 14th or 15th of every month. So where we connect startups, aspiring entrepreneurs, investors, and other startup ecosystem partners on the same day. So where they discuss and see how they can help each other.
Great. I think my own startup Aquis has definitely also benefited from them. So from that, so I can watch for that. So these days there's a lot of talk about sustainability, climate change, and stress on ensuring that sustainable practices are being followed. especially coffee being, agriculture produce. So is there a program or anything that being done by AIC specifically to create that or to foster that among, startups or entrepreneurs or even agriculture or farmers in general? Is there something happening on that front?
See, we have different programs. The first to start with is our own incubation program, where we encourage the incubated startups to follow the best practices in agriculture. And also we create awareness about the circular economy and other aspects. And we also share examples of other successful startups who have adopted these technologies. And we also conduct webinar series online. Every month, at least 2 to 3 webinars we do. And it is open for anybody from any part of the world should be able to join. Okay. And we bring in experts from the industry, from coffee and in general startup ecosystem also. So they come and talk about different topics that can be helpful for these people. Yeah. And also we encourage students to understand the problems that are underlying in the coffee and allied sectors. Okay. So we go and conduct technology awareness camps in various professional colleges, and we talk about the challenges that can be solved using technology. Right. And we give them problems in the form of hackathons. So we encourage them to come with some solutions. So if something is viable, we will be helping them with mentorship and funding also. Okay.
Yeah. So actually that was supposed to be my next question about programs for sustainability. And I think you also mentioned about programs of bringing in more technical awareness, because agriculture is going through revolution now. And we're seeing a lot of new technology being adopted. We're seeing drones used to spray pesticides. We're seeing how soil analysis is happening. And you also mentioned about one of the startups incubated at the center as well, right? So that is one part. And also there's all about supply chain, right? I mean, when you talk about just producing is not enough. You also need to ensure that the supply chain is also well established so that there's no wastage, there's no counterfeit that happens in the supply chain. Also, you need to ensure that the price change, being a commodity, you don't want to add too many layers which contributes to a price increase of the commodity. Yeah. So how are you also fostering that? Are you fostering it through startups, bringing such kind of startups on the program? Are you also creating programs yourself to ensure that that's complete supply chain integrity?
See, from Atal Incubation Center, we have few capacity building training programs which will give certain fundamental information and also build required skill sets among the startups to start working on these aspects. Apart from that, we also connect the startups who are already into this with our incubators. Then there are different models adapted by many other incubators. What they do, there is something called co-incubation facilities. So we exclusively work with research organizations and other incubators and see how they can leverage our intellectual resources and facilities that is available with us and how we can use theirs. Say suppose, for example, we have few startups who are working on IoT. Okay, and image processing, blockchain. So as an incubator, I may not be having all the setup in my own incubator premises to support product development. Correct. But we have access to NASCOM. We have access to other engineering institutions where they have center of excellences related to this. So our startups can make use of their facility as well. Right. And if somebody else is working on coffee and if they want to get to know about the quality parameters, so we have a quality lab. So we have sensor labs, so we can help them. Okay. So this kind of collaborative approaches will definitely help the startups to work on these new technologies. And also awareness has to be done in a very big way. So identifying the fake and identifying the original, what are the regulations set up by the government, and in how simplified way we can communicate that to any common man. True. So this information has to be disseminated, either in the form of a webinar, either in the form of an ebook or an email, or any form that any common man should be able to understand. From our AIC, we are publishing newsletters, and we are sending a lot of email related information. And we also encourage startups and students to visit our incubator. Nice. Rather than connecting everybody virtually, we encourage them to visit our facility. Okay. And we do a lot of outreach programs. Okay. We go beyond Bangalore. We go and do a lot of activities.
Nice. So coffee, specifically coffee grown in this region, is a GI product, right?
Yeah.
And from at least what we understand, that there's good amount of fraud that happens where non-GI coffee is being sold as a GI coffee. So how do you see that? Do you think it's a huge problem? And then do you think there is scope for companies to come in and solve that problem? Or do you think it's probably something which is already being addressed?
No, there is a lot of opportunity in this area because today's consumer needs to know how the product, whatever is being offered to him in a retail outlet, in a packed form, he or she would like to know how it is processed.
Right.
So there are a lot of consumers who spend time to read the content behind the package or the label. So whatever information that goes, they now understand what is the particular ingredient, whether it is harmful or whether it is useful or not, and when it is packed, what is the shelf life, and which region it is grown. So they already have some idea. If we can do this in a much better way, because now India is not just a country where it produces only for domestic consumption.
Right.
So coffee being an export commodity, so a lot of other countries like European Union, they have strict guidelines on all this.
Right.
So having a traceability concept definitely will help get that credibility for our own growers and also companies who are exporting this.
Makes
So
sense.
there's a big opportunity. I believe today's startups will definitely tap into that.
So you said coffee is an export commodity, right? I think around 60% is what is exported.
Yeah,
if I'm not wrong.
70, yeah.
So what is being done to create more consumption domestically? Because I think India is traditionally a tea consumer. I think only in South India we've seen coffee being consumed so much. So what is being done? I think you mentioned on the way here that there's some programs that you yourself are running. Very interesting. So can you talk about that?
Yes, as you rightly said, India is a tea consuming country. So, but today we have more spending power compared to the last 30 to 40 years back.
Okay.
So a lot of youths are earning and they want to spend good amount of time sitting and discussing with their friends, family members, and they need a place that can give that ambience.
Right.
And coffee is one that goes really well with this kind of experience.
Right.
So coffee plus experience with quality definitely has a very big market. And globally, India is having the youngest population.
Yeah.
I think 30% of the total world youngest population is in India.
Right.
And more cafes are coming up in tier 2, tier 3 cities. And students and many working professionals, they don't mind spending 200, 250 rupees for a good quality of cup of coffee. So apart from metro cities, apart from tier 2, tier 3 cities, there is a big opportunity that lies in rural areas as well. Okay. Even in ecotourism or farm tourism. So there are a lot of people who want to understand the process of how these products are manufactured. Yes. So setting up an experience center, making them to brew their own coffee is a different kind of experience altogether. Okay. So we started recently working closely with Ekta Nagar Forest Department, where the Statue of Unity is there. So we have given a hands-on training program for the women who work in that tribal cafe. So they are brewing the good quality coffee by using manual and also semi-automatic and automatic machines. Nice. Now they are able to serve good quality coffee even in Gujarat.
Okay.
So now we want to inculcate that coffee culture, not just only in South India, even in other parts of the country. Right. So once people become aware about the coffee, okay, then definitely the domestic consumption increases. Once the demand increases, the production has to increase. Yeah. And whatever is required for creating this value chain in order to get the good quality of coffee into the cup. So Coffee Board is always there to support them.
Great.
So apart from Coffee Board, there are other stakeholders within the coffee community. They are very eager to involve in this. So our recent World Coffee Conference has given a lot of boost to us. So many countries were not even aware that India is one of the largest grower of coffee. Yeah. So when they attended this coffee conference, they got to know a lot of things are happening in India in terms of coffee. So now this is the right opportunity for us to tap in. I think Coffee Board is going in the right way in developing skills among youths, rural women, and also to support them in terms of finance through government agencies like NRLM.
Are we expecting Starbucks competitor from AIC soon?
I cannot say that we are as a competitor to Starbucks or anybody, but we will make sure that a better quality coffee can be served. in association with NRLM, Coffee Board.
With the right experience.
Yes. We want to bring in as many as skilled baristas to the market.
Okay.
So definitely when we have skilled baristas, the employment of these skilled baristas will be there.
Right.
And a lot of cafes, they come and ask us, can you help us in recruiting a good quality baristas?
Right.
Because we do a barista training program from Coffee Board.
Okay.
So definitely when we have quality baristas, quality coffee can be expected.
So there are a lot of, I'm sure there are a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs who watch this podcast as well, who want to get into agriculture or coffee, right? And allied sectors. So do you have any, suggestions or inputs for them as to, what they need to look into, what they can do, and how they can grow in this sector specifically?
So, irrespective of whether they want to come into agri or coffee or any sector, any aspiring entrepreneur need to do his homework first. The first and foremost thing is to understand the market, whichever he or she wants to enter in. So, conducting a basic market research, either by using primary research methods or secondary research method, they should be aware of the market where they want to enter. Then they need to be aware of what are the different supporting system exist for startups who are working on that specific focus area. Say suppose coffee. So Coffee Board is there. Apart from that, we have so many other academies who run a lot of training programs related to coffee. And there are so many case studies that they can get from internet. Understand what happened with a particular startup who was into coffee. How did they succeed or how did they fail?
Right.
So that first round of homework they have to do. Okay. And we as an incubator, we are ready to listen to their ideas, tell them where is the gap that they can address, and how they can convert the problem into a business opportunity, and we can help them to refine their business model. Right. So once their business model is ready, we can help them to build a prototype, whether it is a product or a service or a combination of both. Okay. Then depending on their projections, they can start looking for funding. Okay. As I told earlier, we can support them with the granting aid from the government schemes. Mm-hmm. And if they want to raise funds from private investors, I would suggest them to build a business that has a very good product or service model. True. Then start hunting for investors. Obviously. So most of the startups, initially what they do, they start hunting investors before they build the product.
India also, I think investors look for traction to be able to get that confidence to invest. Yeah. So that's very important, like you rightly said. So what's your future outlook now for AIC CCRI? What are the new things that are coming up, or any new programs that you plan, and how does the program run? Also, you could also talk about AIC CCRI. Is it the incubation program itself? Is it on a rotational basis, or how do people enroll to that program?
So we have our own dedicated website where we give all the information about all our upcoming programs. So we have 4 flagship programs. One, Vartharamba, that is a pre-incubation program for somebody who wants to convert their ideas into a POC. Right. So this is offered completely online for about 25 to 30 hours. And it will end with the participants pitching their ideas to our panel members, where they get feedback on whether this is a feasible idea or not, and how they can improve on it. The second program being Vikrayam. So this is for people who wants to get into coffee export sector. Somebody who is very new to export business. So we'll start from fundamentals. Okay. How to get export license. What are the guidelines in different countries for coffee? What are the packaging guidelines? Everything we cover it. And we also help them in shipping their first consignment. And the third program being Cafe Conceptor. This is exclusively for people who want to set up coffee-centric cafe. Okay. It's a hands-on training program that happens in our product development lab at Bangalore in Coffee Board head office. So in those 4 days, the first day they learn about all basics. They understand how to identify a variety of coffee and how the roasting take place. Then we'll introduce them to manual brewing techniques. Then second day they practice on all these manual brewing gadgets. Okay. And we'll introduce them to semi-automatic machines. Okay. Then third day they learn about this barista machine, latte art, milk preparation, menu management. And we'll also give them field activity where they visit nearby cafes and try to understand the cafe management, unit economics by talking to those cafe staff. Right. Last day, it is all about understanding unit economics. We talk about how to set up the price, how to plan a layout for your cafe, and how to get the required supplies. Then we will introduce them to our Atal Incubation Center Coffee Board network, where they interact with the stakeholders in the coffee community.
Okay.
So this 4 days program is a fundamental one. We have planned to do master classes after this.
Nice.
And the last program being our incubation program, where the startups, they pitch their proposal to our committee members. Depending on the stage of the startup, we set the incubation tenure.
Okay.
It varies from 6 months to 18 months.
Right.
In some cases, startups are requested the incubations tenure beyond 18 months because their product development takes time.
Correct.
So this has 2 options. They can become a virtual incubator or a physical on-site incubator.
Okay.
Apart from these 4 flagship programs, we also have accelerator program, which we recently started in association with Vadvani Foundation. And we have investors meet, and we run webinar series.
Nice.
And we have plans to do few master classes exclusively on coffee topics, and also for startups who want to write a DPR. How to write a detailed project report,
Okay.
how to craft your own digital marketing campaign. So there are different programs that are lined up.
That's great.
Yeah. And another important thing that we want to do is, currently our Atal Incubation Center is in Bangalore, Coffee Board head
Right.
office. But we want to set a few branch offices across India, because entrepreneurs are spread across India.
True.
And now a lot of startups are coming from Northeast region,
Okay.
where coffee is grown there also, and Orissa,
Nice.
Araku Valley region. So what happens for them getting access and getting required support services from us online may not be efficient.
Right.
So we want to have a small team placed in those regions also, where already Coffee Board is having some regional offices.
Right.
So with existing staff, we can run those programs in those places also.
Okay.
And whatever currently we are offering at AIC Bangalore, we want to offer same kind of skill development programs in other cities also. The cafe concept, we want to do it in other metro cities. Regional Vikrayam programs we want to do.
Nice.
And we want to tie up with other incubators to host collaborative programs. So we are already on it. Soon you are going to see those details in our official
Great.
website.
And there's a lot of activity happening, so that
Yeah.
sounds pretty interesting. As for the uninitiated, a lot of people who are tea drinkers who may not even know anything about coffee, can you just talk a little bit about coffee, the different varieties of coffee sold, especially grown in India, and what are the numbers like, and which is the most exported one, right? So you can just give a brief small masterclass about coffee in general.
However, I'll try to give the basic information for the viewers of this podcast. See, basically, there are 2 main varieties that are grown in India, Robusta and Arabica. Coffee is one interesting beverage that attracts you with its smell.
Correct.
So you need not do a lot of marketing for that. So if you are able to roast a good coffee, then customers around you. Whereas with tea, yes, it has its own health benefits, but coffee has its own health benefits. So a lot of people who consume just black coffee, so they say it's good for their heart, reduces the cholesterol, it helps them in reducing the weight. And also now fitness industry, they are having a lot of demand for green bean coffee powder.
Okay.
It acts as a health supplement. And in terms of numbers, if you say, Karnataka is the largest grower of coffee.
Okay.
So out of 100% coffee that is grown in India, 70% comes from Karnataka. Majorly from 3 places, Hassan, that is Sakleshpura, Kodagu, and Chikmagalur. So apart from this, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, and Araku Valley in Andhra Pradesh, Orissa, and a few regions in Northeast. So coffee is grown there.
Okay.
So out of 100% coffee that is grown, 60 to 70% get exported.
Okay.
And European countries are the largest importer of Indian coffee, and Italy is one of our the largest importer. And now there is a lot of demand for Indian coffee in Gulf regions also.
Okay.
So a lot of Indian entrepreneurs who are settled in these Gulf regions, they are introducing Indian coffee there.
Interesting.
And recently in a World Coffee Conference, we even got a lot of inquiries from people who are from Japan. They liked Indian coffee.
Nice. Okay.
So there are a lot of things are happening after this World Coffee Conference.
Right. So it looks like there are a lot of opportunities in this space. You talked about health supplement, how green coffee is being used for that. Plus, people outside India being interested in Indian coffee. So it looks like there's a lot of opportunities in this space itself, right?
So we also have few startups who are working on waste to wealth concept.
Okay.
So essential oils made out of coffee that is used in skincare industry.
Mm.
And the leftover coffee grounds are converted into pellets that is used as a firewood in hotel industry.
Interesting.
And we have startups who are preparing cutleries out of coffee by using bioplastic.
Nice.
So there are a lot of things that are happening, not just coffee as a beverage. Many value-added products are also coming up.
Great. I mean, that's really interesting to hear. And I think as AIC, you're doing a commendable job. And plus, I think it'll also help if the story of these startups and companies go out and people understand that so much happening, not just, so much happening around just one crop in India. I think there's so many opportunities in that, right? So
yes, if coffee board can do this much, many other commodity boards also can do it. And since India is an agrarian economy, definitely there's a lot of scope for many other commodities to come up with. And now Government of India has introduced one district, one product. So I think it has to be taken in a much better scale by other departments and other boards as well. So we have a tea board, we have a coir board, we have a silk board. So there are different boards. So each one of them, if they start looking after these opportunities, definitely it can go it in a big way.
It would be very unfair if I don't ask this question, especially in the current scenarios, because there's a lot of talk about AI in general, right? And how AI is going to shape and affect some of the industries. Some people are worried about losing their jobs, etc. And so how do you see AI shaping the agriculture industry or coffee industry in general?
Globally, if you see, India still the technology penetration in agriculture sector is very, very less.
Correct.
So whatever farming practices that we adapt and still practicing are very old traditional practices. There is less than 10% of technology used by our farmers. The reason being, most of the farmers are all fragmented farmers. So adapting a technology for a small farm holding will be expensive. So Government of India, that's why they're encouraging this custom hiring centers where they can hire the required equipments on a rental basis. But however, these latest technology like blockchain, AI, machine learning, so it has its own opportunities. So when I talk about coffee alone, so the sorting and grading, so still it is done in a manual way. Or whatever technology that we are using, it is not to the level that where other countries have adapted. So just imagine if some company develops a solution which is based on image processing, which can identify the good quality beans just by checking its color, pattern. So a lot of manual thing can be ruled out. And also it becomes more efficient. And that can help us to improve our production cycle, and we can start competing with the other global markets. So yes, technology will definitely make us to get better things. Few people may lose jobs, but it's not just with agriculture. AI is coming everywhere. So whatever happens, it's for good. And I see there is a lot of opportunity in India to adapt technology in agriculture domain. So
Praveen, you can probably walk through a little bit of what are the facilities available at AIC here in Bangalore or anywhere else where you've set up an incubation center. I think it's good for startups to know what kind of support, physical infrastructural support that you're able to provide as well.
So we are located in the Coffee Board head office in Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Veedi, Bangalore. So we are having walkable distance. We have Kabban Park metro station and very good access to other public transport as well. And our incubation center is spread across 10,000 square feet. So we have product development lab where the bean to cup process, whatever equipments are there. So it is there. And when we do hands-on training programs, we make these participants to use those machines, gadgets. And they learn about all these basic equipments that is required for running a cafe or brewing a good quality coffee. And we also have a co-working space. We have 61-seater co-working space with all plug-and-play setup. So anybody who don't want to invest too much money on the office setup, and if they have a small team and they want to just come and work, so we have all the facilities.
I think it's very well situated as well, right? In the center.
Yeah, prime location. And we also have a conference room that can accommodate about 40 people. And we have mini conference room also, which can accommodate about 6 to 8 people. And we have a modular cafe. So this cafe is very unique. So somebody who goes through the cafe concept or training program where they want to set up their own cafe. So before even they invest their hard-earned money and invest on land or take it on rent, hire a team, so they can rent our cafe itself.
Nice.
So we have all the machines, whatever basic infrastructure required for a cafe is already there. They just have to come with their supplies, brew coffee, bring their customers and serve them. Or even they can serve to our own coffee board officials. We will give them feedback, how good or bad their coffee is. And we can give them suggestion. They can take it on a rent for 1 day, 1 week or a month also. Once they are confident, yes, I can go back and invest my hard-earned money to set up a cafe, they can do it.
Great.
So this is one unique thing where you don't find in any other incubators. It's like a test bed for them.
Great.
Apart from that, we also have private cabins. If startups have already a team and they need some privacy and they want to have privacy for their team meetings and also we have private cabins as well.
Great.
Apart from that, our incubators also get access to our quality department labs, and we have in-house experts from Coffee Board, and also we have a very good mentors pool.
Nice.
And we have empaneled chartered accountant. He keeps visiting frequently to our AIC office, so the startups need not worry about the compliances and other regulatory aspects. So their headache can be taken by our consultants. Even for IPR, we have attorney.
Right.
So startups can focus only on their core innovation development.
And selling. I think you got the whole basket over there, right? From the test bed, trying to be able to build an MVP as well.
Yeah.
Plus, customers. I mean, you have people at Coffee Board who can give you feedback.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that a startup needs to do is innovate and sell. I think that's what they need to do.
So the admission to our incubation program, we have certain parameters.
Right.
So anybody who want to join our incubation program, they need to have a innovative startup proposal. So because the important aspect for any incubators to support startup is innovation. So they should have some innovative product development or service development proposal. Second one is we look for a scalable business model.
Correct.
Then we look for whether the solution that they build, either in the form of product or service or combination of both, whether it has any positive impact on the society.
Right.
Then we also see whether this startup can create jobs. So how they can support rural youth and women and how they can generate employment opportunities. So we look for that.
Okay.
And they pitch to our committee. And the committee decides whether to incubate them or not.
Okay. And does it happen throughout the year, or you have a fixed?
Our application for incubation program is open throughout the year.
Yeah. So anybody can just come in and apply at any point of time and then get selected.
Yeah. So initially what we do whenever we get any application, we do a pre-screening round. So we internally we ask them to pitch their idea to us. Then we give them certain feedback how they can improve. Okay. Then they will be made to pitch in front of our committee members. Great. The reason being, we want to reduce the rejection rate.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So once the committee member approves their proposal, they have to sign an agreement with us for the incubation program. True. So the terms and conditions are written clearly so that they can understand. And the mentors will set certain milestones for the startups to work on. True. So depending on the milestones they start working on, we see whether they require any funding support, they require any additional R&D support, whether any additional mentor has to be given to a specific startup. So we have to spend a lot of time with startups. So that's the reason we usually recommend our startups to join our physical incubation program rather than virtual. But however, depending on their convenience, they can go with virtual incubation also. But startups keep visiting us frequently since we do networking meeting, and we also do a lot of outreach programs. So we keep meeting our startups.
Nice. And they just go to your website and apply to
Yes. Okay. So we have our own dedicated website for Atal Incubation Center Coffee Board. Okay. They can go and apply there directly.
Okay. I think, and we'll share the link as well in our notes as well. So one of the solutions that we primarily implemented in coffee is our origin solution, which is a track and trace system, which basically tracks the product, the produce, in this case, coffee, right when it's picked up from the farm, packed into gunny bags. What we do is we digitize each and every bag. We create a digital twin of that bag, which is non-replicable. We use non-replicable technology, which ensures that the bag, which has now been digitized, cannot be replicated digitally as well. And now when this bag moves across the supply chain, right from the farmer to the FPO to a processing unit, maybe then to a retail unit, etc., that bag can be traced throughout the supply chain. Plus, any change that could happen in the supply chain where multiple bags could get mixed up and then processed, or from the processed output, you could then have smaller bags being created. So all that parent-child plus child-parent relationship also gets managed through our system as well. So at the end product which a consumer receives, right, when he or she verifies it, they get to know the journey of the product that they are consuming. In this case, coffee. They get to know exactly how the coffee came to be. They get to understand the farm where it was grown. They can also relate to the story of the farmer. Plus, very importantly, also understand the quality parameter, because in coffee, grades of coffee is very important. Also understand if it's brightly coming from that region or not, because we've seen a lot of fraud being committed around GI, where coffee, the GI tag itself, where non-GI grown coffee is being sold as GI coffee. So consumers can verify the authenticity of the product, get to know the origin of the product, the provenance, the journey it's taken, plus also the quality parameters. And not just a consumer, anybody. Like tomorrow, if somebody is importing the coffee into their country, they can also verify this, also understand the region where it's coming from. In this case, let's say talk about EU, where EU has come up with a new regulation where the coffee needs to be from should not be from a deforested area. Anybody in EU can verify that it's coming from a region which is not deforested. So in a nutshell, Origin helps you create a complete trace of the product, which is trustable because it's on a blockchain network. In addition to our non-clonable technology, makes it completely foolproof from any kind of fraud, counterfeiting, and any data manipulation as well. So, startups, you hear them everywhere. Even, our government runs a Startup India program as well. And then there are programs like Shark Tank, etc., which are quite, prominent across channels. And people have taken up to it, right? You see see people who used to watch Kyunki Saas and the soap operas and Big Boss now are watching Shark Tank, right? So how do you think programs or, channels which are actually talking about startups, how have they influenced, AIC in general or your mindset specifically?
What has happened in our traditional education system, when we were studying our school or plus two, we never had any specific topic on entrepreneurship.
Right.
The reason being, most of us were prepared for jobs.
True.
Right? But now the curriculum has changed. Even a high school student, they read about startups.
Right.
They know what is business canvas model. And they do entrepreneurship awareness camps within their campus. So when already such information is made available in the campus, now programs like this definitely will add a lot of value. So when you see programs like Shark Tank, there are certain terminologies which a common man may not be aware of.
True.
So they even explain what is it.
Correct.
So any graduate or a postgraduate who want to get into this entrepreneurship domain, so this is a free education that he or she is getting. And the important thing for any startup founder is to sell himself first.
True.
Later his products or services.
True.
So these programs acts as a platform for others to learn. So it's more about experiential learning. So they try to imagine themselves in the place of the same entrepreneur and see how well they can present their ideas and how they would have answered the same question.
Makes sense.
So there are a lot of startups now, they're confident about pitching their innovative products or services in front of these investors.
True.
They know how to negotiate better, how to give counter offers to the investors.
True.
And they know the different strategies adapted by competitors.
Correct.
So it's an open world. So if you have information, if you have skill, if you have the right team, and if you can able to build the right product, then investors are ready to invest on it.
I think you're rightly said that, it's creating a lot of awareness, and then people are, warming up to the idea of even getting funds from outside. Traditionally, Indians have been like, no, I don't want to bring in funds from outside. A lot of the traditional companies, but now people are open to even receiving funds, and they are open to even talking to investors, which is something as a change that we are seeing, right?
Yeah.
Which is really important.
Yeah.
So great, Praveen, it was awesome having you here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming in today and sharing your experience at AIC and as somebody who's been in the startup industry for such a long time. So thank you, Praveen, for coming in. It was a pleasure having you here.
Thank you, Vikas, and your team for having me here. So I believe this podcast will act as that platform what new age entrepreneurs are looking for, and definitely lot and more such platforms has to be created by other startups as well, because unless and until you have the awareness about a particular domain,
True.
then it is difficult for you to understand the problem that exists within that domain.
True.
So whatever you are doing is a commendable job, and I thank you for inviting me here.
Sure. Thanks, Praveen. Thanks. Thanks for tuning in, folks. And until next time, it's bye from everybody here.